Hey guys, it's me, Jamie, and welcome back to another video. So today I just thought I would be doing my September wrap up for you guys. I know it's a little bit late, but it's fine. We're here. We're ready to go. We're ready to talk about all the books. So I actually had a pretty good reading month in September. I read a total of 9 books. That's a lie. I read a total of 7 books, but I DNF'd 2, which I will talk about. So I have a total of 9 books to actually talk about today. I only had 1 5-star, but I had quite a few 4 stars. So I feel like it was a pretty successful month, to be honest. I feel like I had a pretty good time. There were a few books, obviously, that didn't really hit the mark, but that's okay. But yeah, without further ado, let's just get into all the books. So the first book I read in September was actually an ARC that was sent to be my Penguin Books New Zealand. So thank you so much, Penguin. I'm so happy, and I really enjoyed the book as well. But that is Frankly in Love by David Yoon. This is a YA contemporary, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It was so close to being 5 because I enjoyed it so much, but there were just a couple of aspects that I feel like I couldn't give it 5 stars. You know what I mean? Like I just couldn't do it. But I still had a really good time reading this. So yeah, this is a YA contemporary. It is about a Korean boy called Frank Lee. He comes from a family that is very traditional and very close-minded. He's grown up in America, but he's like full Korean, and his family still believe in like Korean traditions. So when he falls in love with a white girl, he has to hide it from his family. He has to hide the fact that they're dating from his family because he knows that they won't approve. So he actually ends up pretending to date his friend Joy, who is also from a Korean family and who is dating a Chinese boy, which her parents don't approve of either. So they start fake dating to hide their real relationships, and obviously it's the fake dating trope, so drama and all that sort of fun stuff ensues, and it was such an enjoyable read. I thought the writing style was amazing. I really loved David Yoon's writing style. There is just something with this couple, David and Nicola Yoon. I just love their contemporaries so much. I find them so funny and so heartwarming, and I just really love reading from their different voices. I just absolutely loved it. I really loved Frank as a character. I found him to be like so charming, but he made me angry at the same time sometimes with his decisions, but he also like made me laugh, and like I loved him, and I loved his relationship with his best friend Q. I thought they were such an awesome dynamic. I really loved reading about their friendship, and that was one of the relationships in the book that I cared about the most, along with Frank's relationship with his parents. I really cared about. His parents made me so mad, like they made me so mad, but it was just, at the end of the day, like I feel like this is marketed as a really fluffy YA romance, but it's really hard hitting, and it actually talks about some really serious topics in terms of like race and how you've been brought up and tradition and all that sort of stuff, but then also like some really serious family dramas. I love that. I guess one of the main problems I have with this is something that features as a major plot point, and that is cheating. I'm really not a fan of it, and yeah, I didn't like reading about it, especially when it's like, I don't know, it's not like seen as okay, but it's also not seen as like really not okay. So I don't really like that aspect, but apart from that, I loved everything else about it, and I loved the ending. I loved where the characters ended up, and I just really enjoyed it. I cannot recommend it enough. Definitely go pick it up because it's really fun. The next book I finished in September was actually a reread, and that was Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban by J.K. Rowling. I did my annotations of this reread, and obviously it was 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. I definitely realized that this might be my least favorite out of all the Harry Potter books. It's still amazing, like so much exposition happens in this book for the series, but because the main antagonist of the whole series, Lord Voldemort, isn't really featured, it feels somewhat disjointed from the rest of the series, but I still obviously really adore it. 5 out of 5 stars, best book of the month, obviously. Don't really need to say anything else about it, to be honest. And then here is where I kind of got into a reading slump, and so now I'm going to talk about my 2 DNFs. One of the books I DNF'd was The Other Half of Augusta Hope by Joanna Glenn. I was actually listening to this on audiobook, but I really was retaining zero information, but I don't think I'm then going to go and pick it up and try again. I just felt like it was so disjointed. It seemed very stream of consciousness writing, but like not very good. I got up to page 100, I think, and yeah, I don't know, it's told from 2 different perspectives, and I really just did not know what was going on in either perspective, and I felt like it kept jumping like time frames, and I just couldn't follow it. I wish I could tell you what this book is about, but even after reading 100 pages, I honestly don't know. I think it's about some weird family dramas. I really don't know. I think, yeah, there was this weird like sibling rivalry. I just don't know where the book was going, so I'm probably not going to be picking it up again. yeah, but it wasn't great. And then the next book I DNF'd, which was right after DNFing the other half of Augusta Hope. It's really controversial for me, and I was really disappointed that I did, but it was The Little Friend by Donna Tartt. First of all, the book's this big, so if I wasn't enjoying it, it's like there's no need to continue, like I would be wasting my time. But also, this is Donna Tartt's book before The Secret History and the Goldfinch, which I really like, and I feel like she hadn't quite honed her craft just yet. I felt like the story itself was really basic, and I felt like the synopsis was really misleading. So basically it's about a family in Mississippi, and one day like there's a family party, whatever, someone's birthday party, and they're all just hanging out, and then like the 5-year-old son goes missing, and they're like, where is he? And they go out in the front yard and he is hanging from a tree. He's been killed, he's been hung. So I was like, wow, it's gonna be this like murder mystery fun, but it just was so bland and not interesting. And then around the kind of like 50-page mark, they kept using the N-word, and I really didn't like that, especially because it's not a book about race and there was literally no need. Like, Donna Tartt is a white author and I just wasn't a fan, so I would rather not taint my experience with Donna Tartt's writing by continuing the book. And yeah, I wasn't even enjoying it anyway, so it's like, why waste my time with this like massive brick of a book? That's kind of my reasoning for DNFing it. Probably won't try it again. Yeah. Unfortunately, that was really disappointing for me. And then the book to get me out of my reading slump was The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. I absolutely loved this. I rated it 4 out of 5 stars. This was actually a birthday gift for me by my lovely friend Whitney from Whitney Novels. So Whitney, thank you so much. When I received this book, I actually texted her and was like, oh my god, thank you so much. And she was like, I really hope you like it. I'm really nervous. And then I read it and like, oh my god, thank god, I loved it. This was actually the book that made me realize maybe I don't hate the romance genre. We'll see, I guess. But yeah, I actually really loved it. So this has been quite hyped on BookTube recently, so I know that people probably know what it's already about. But just a quick summary, it is enemies to lovers. These two people that hate each other have to end up going on her sister's honeymoon because everyone in the wedding party and everyone at the wedding got food poisoning, and they're the only two that didn't get food poisoning, so they have to go and pretend to be married to like claim this honeymoon. It's just so good. I really liked it. I really loved Christina Lauren's writing style, so God knows I'm going to be picking up more of her books. I loved the characters. I loved the representation of like a curvy woman with like huge boobs, because like that's a big fucking mood. And I loved Ethan as well. Ethan, the male protagonist, was just, I loved him. He was so good, and they actually were like really deep characters as well. Like, I really got to know them. I felt like it kind of started to drag more towards the end, and then all this stuff was happening that like made me really angry. And like, it's not a 5-star book, like, you know, it's not the sort of book that I'm gonna be like, wow, a masterpiece. But it was just, yeah, I just had such a fun time reading it, and it has made me want to go and pick up more romance books. So it's powerful, I'll tell you that. It has power. But yeah, I absolutely love this, and if you are like me and you don't love the romance genre, maybe try this out, because I loved it. So yes. The next book I read in September was actually another interesting one, and that is Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. This was also a birthday gift from my lovely friend Jacob. So Jacob, thank you so much for sending me this. I think it's such a stunning book, and I had a pretty interesting time reading it, and yeah, I'm just excited to talk about it. So Jacob, thank you so much. So this is a YA standalone fantasy, and I rated it 3 out of 5 stars. So objectively, I can see that it is a good book. I enjoyed lots of aspects of it. It just wasn't my favorite. I really liked An Enchantment of Ravens, which is Margaret Rogerson's other book. I really enjoyed that, so I had really high expectations of this one. And I also know that lots of people absolutely loved this book, so lots of people I trust as well, like Jacob included. So I was really excited to read it, but it just fell a little bit flat for me, and I think it's probably because of the hype. I get really stupid high expectations, which is no one's fault but my own. So when books don't meet them, I do get like quite disappointed. So this book is about a girl who works in a library, and in this fantasy world, books are called grimoires and they have souls, and basically she just really wants to work in a library, but like these books can become demons because there's like evil sorcerers out there. It was just a really interesting sounding world. I really loved that aspect of it, but then I found that the library content wasn't enough for me. I also found that the main character and also the main male character were really bland characters. I really didn't like them. And then when a romance kind of sparked up, I didn't see where it came from. I didn't see what drew those two characters to each other, which was really disappointing because, like I've said so many times, romance isn't like my favorite aspect of fantasy books. So when it happens, it has to be really good. And this one just wasn't that good for me. It just kind of felt like it was chucked in there. I really, really loved a character called Silas though. I thought he was really good and I adored him. But also the main antagonist, I didn't really understand his motivations. So the characters were very hit or miss for me. I loved Silas and I quite liked like the main character's best friend, but other than that, I don't really know. I felt like the book was quite disjointed. There were some moments where I didn't understand where we had come from beforehand or why we were suddenly at this stage, and I felt like the structure was a bit off. But I still enjoyed the like atmosphere that this book provided for me. And yeah, there were some like really funny lines. Margaret Rogerson does have a really like funny way of writing. I found Enchantment of Ravens to be hilarious, but unfortunately this one just missed the mark. I'm definitely willing to give another one of her books a go when she comes out with a new book. Like I'm definitely probably going to buy it and read it, but I probably wouldn't recommend this one over an Enchantment of Ravens. And the next book I read in September was a buddy read, and it was a book that I absolutely devoured and adored, and that is This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. I buddy read this with my friend Isabella from Throne of Pages, who you guys definitely know. We read this and we both really liked it. We had a really interesting time with it actually. So in the beginning, we both weren't really liking it. We didn't understand the world building. We felt like the world building was basically non-existent and we just kind of had to like fend for ourselves. So we were texting each other like very confused, but then around like the 70 like to 100 page mark, it really picked up. I started to realize that the world building not being in there was definitely an artistic choice and one that ended up really working because you started to pick up on things really easily because you've kind of like been thrown in. Does that make any sense? I don't know. But yeah, this book is a YA fantasy and it's a duology. I'm going to be reading Our Dark Duet very soon, but it's a duology and we follow two main characters. Kate, who is the daughter of like this massive like government official, I think. I don't really know, but she's a daughter of someone really important. And then we also follow a character called August, who is a monster. And in this world, there are 3 types of monsters, and he is the one that is like very, very rare, but they also like present as humans. I just thought the world itself was so good. I thought the atmosphere was really, really great. And of course, I love Victoria Schwab's writing style. I always thought that I preferred her writing style as when she writes for an adult audience, and I still do think that, but this one I found to be really good and I definitely liked it a lot more than her previous YA books that I've read. Once I got past that first kind of 100 page mark, I absolutely devoured this. I ended up reading the rest of it in a day and I just, yeah, I absolutely loved it, and I thought the magic system as well was incredible. So I just, even though it's not really a magic system, it's more just like the world, but yeah. I don't know, and obviously the characters, I love Kate Harker so much, I love August, and like honestly, a lot of Victoria Schwab's books are getting adapted at the moment, and like, just saying I fit the bill for Kate, like appearance wise, so Victoria, please hit me up. I would love to play this badass character. But yeah, I'm super excited to read Our Dark Duet, and I'm just, yeah, I absolutely love this book. I'm so excited, cannot recommend it enough. Another book that I read in the month of September and absolutely loved is Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. This is a YA contemporary, and I don't know why, but I just found it like so entertaining and so good. It kind of reminded me of Radio Silence a little bit, which I absolutely loved, but this one had a romance whereas Radio Silence didn't, so Radio Silence was like better because I liked that relationship a bit more. So I rated this 4 stars. It's a YA contemporary about a girl called Eliza, and she actually anonymously writes a webcomic and created a webcomic that has thousands and thousands and actually millions of fans. She makes so much money from it. Like, she's very, very famous online, but of course no one at her school knows that it's her. The only people that know are her parents and her brothers. She's just like living her life at school, being anonymous, not talking to anyone, having no friends. And then a new boy arrives at school, and it turns out that he is the most famous fan fiction writer for her webcomic. They end up creating like a friendship slash relationship, but she keeps it hidden from him that she actually created the webcomic because she thought it would be really awkward. So it's just a really, really fun story about her kind of navigating high school and navigating this new relationship that she feels really out of her depth with, while also like keeping this big secret. It was just so good, and it had such a really good description of like anxiety and panic attacks. I felt like that was really good representation, and I just loved the characters as well. I loved Eliza. Her family kind of annoyed me, but I feel like that's supposed to annoy you. And there's just this really beautiful moment with her brothers as well that I absolutely loved. I thought the writing style was really fun. It's also like a kind of mixed media. Like obviously there's the story, and then there's like bits with the comic and stuff in it as well. And then we also get, because she kind of lives her life online, we also get like chat room kind of like chapters as well, where she's just like talking to her online friends. I just thought it was really beautiful. I absolutely loved it, and if you're looking for a really good fluffy YA contemporary, I definitely would recommend this one. And the last book I'm going to talk about, and the last book I read in September, is One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I rated this 2 out of 5 stars. It just wasn't great, which is really annoying. I read this for the Taylor Jenkins Read Along, which I have created with my friends Isabella and Jacob. We have only 2 more books left, so I would definitely recommend checking out the read along, because this month we are going to be reading Evelyn Hugo and doing a live show on that, and then in November we're going to be reading Daisy Jones and the Six and doing another live show, and they're always so much fun, so I definitely recommend checking that out and coming along. But we read One True Loves in September, and it just wasn't great. So this book is about a woman who lost her husband in a helicopter accident maybe like 5 years ago. I kind of forgot the time frame, but she lost her husband, the love of her life, and then she kind of like meets this new guy from her like old high school, and then they kind of start up again and they like end up getting engaged. But then it turns out that the husband that she lost is not actually dead. He was just lost at sea, and now he's come back into her life. So she's kind of navigating having these 2 men that she's in love with back in her life, and she has to kind of like choose, I guess. I'm not really sure. It just really wasn't good. I hated both the men. I found them so bland, and also the main character herself, I just did not care. Like I did not care about her at all. The writing style just isn't good, the development's not there, the pacing's not good, and it just had some really cringy lines. We go super in depth in the live show, so I will link that down below, because I really can't be bothered to talk about this again because I just don't care. So if you want to know my full thoughts and the full thoughts of Jacob, Isabella and our guest host Heaven, I would recommend checking it out. I'll link it down below. Yes. So those are all the books that I read in September. I hope you guys enjoyed this wrap up. I know it's a little bit late, but it's here now, so I hope you enjoy. Let me know what you think of these books. Let me know if you agree or disagree or anything like that. But yeah, again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon in another video. Bye!